Hey, everybody, welcome to Wish We Were Then, the show that takes a look at the rise of one-hit wonders and the fall of once great nations. That's right, we're a show that goes and takes a look at things in the past and tells you about them, but all about one certain given year each week. What was on the radio, what was in the media, what was going on in the world. I am Trey. I'm one of your intrepid hosts here on the podcast. I'm joined by my good friend Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today? I'm
Everyone
excited.
outside?
Yeah,
Please answer.
everyone. Good
We'll
answer
wait.
heard.
Okay, good. Excited about this week?
Yes, I am. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this one is it's a very good week. I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a little intro, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into that because I don't want to waste too much time getting into the end of the year here. Well, we do have an exciting year this week on the podcast, and that's because I heard a certain little nation is celebrating a special birthday this year.
Only 200 years.
Happy birthday to ya. And now, wait a second. How old's the little lady turning this year, huh? 200? Whoa! That's right, we're taking a look at America's bicentennial birthday this week. Now, many people on their birthday, they like to take a look at the past. They remember the good old days. They relive their old past glories. Other people, they like to cherish the present. They celebrate who they are today. They really affirm their identity and their current place in life. Other people, they like to look at the future. They say, what's on the horizon? What new ventures will I get into in the future? Now, America, on her bicentennial year, she does all three, right? We're going to take a look at the media, the news, the music, the significant events that shaped America on the 200th year in existence. We're taking a look at the year 1976 today. Excited for this one?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I thought it was super cool, all the homages that everybody was paying to the bicentennial.
Yeah, it's funny because it didn't even really occur to me before I started looking into the year more that I was like, oh, shoot, yeah, I forgot this is the bicentennial year, 200 years of existence. Something that really struck me, too, when I was watching a lot of like news articles and stuff about all of the celebrations and things they were doing, the different demonstrations and there's a lot of cool stuff that was going on around the country in celebration of the time. And I thought the next one's going to be the Sesquicentennial. That's next year in 2026. We'll be 250 years old. And I don't know if anybody's going to be doing anything cool like that.
I'm sure they're going to do something for it.
But I don't know if it's going to be this thing. Like I said, I watched some news articles, or not news articles, some news reports and things, like an ABC News story about just different places and stuff. And I thought it's so fun that everybody's getting into a lot of recreations of like ships sailing into the harbor and stuff, And I thought it's fun that people are really celebrating the history of it,
Yeah, I thought it was super cool. The even Rocky movie was talking about it the whole time.
Yeah, I thought that was cool too. And that's something too that I've seen that movie a million times, and it wasn't until watching it this time that I thought, oh, I forget that they're really hammering home the fact that like this is an important fight for America.
Yeah, and that's why he comes out as like George Washington and
Yeah, for sure. And he's got, everything's all America themed, all the imagery and stuff like that. It's a very just America feeling movie, but if you forget at the time, it's because that was on everybody's minds, apparently,
Yeah.
There were some mailboxes and fire hydrants painted red, white, and blue around the country. Locomotives and railroad cars were numbered 1776 or 1976 in celebration. The $2 bill was reintroduced on Jefferson's birthday. This was a fun thing. Johnny Cash grand marshaled the parade in D.C. It's who's the most American guy we can get?
Right.
Johnny Cash.
Did he already do that flag speech by this time?
I don't know his flag speech.
You never heard that speech? About
probably
the grand old flag. It's super cool. We should listen to it sometime.
You're a grand old flag. You're a high flying flag.
No, he just talks.
Forever.
He just talks about it. You did pretty good, Joe.
I think I have heard it. It sounds. I feel like I've heard it. There were also TV specials by Bob Hope, Ed McMahon, Paul Anka, and Walter Cronkite that were hosted. A lot of this stuff took place on July 4th, specifically. This was a big deal. A lot of people were very prepared for it. So that was kind of a dominating news thing. Most of my other news, there's a couple different specific stories I wanted to touch on, but that's most of my like big, nationwide headline kind of thing.
Yeah, I got some bummer stuff. You want to do that first?
Sure, let's get into the bummers.
The son of Sam would strike for the first time. 18-year-old Donna Loria and 19-year-old Jody Valentine were sitting in front of Miss Laura's apartment around 12:30, sitting in her car and talking. And a man in his late 30s with a blue striped shirt walked up and fired 4 shots of his .44 caliber pistol, killing Laura and wounding Valentine. Then later she would go on to give descriptions about him, which would later go on to his arrest. But then he also struck 2 more times this year.
Yeah, 2 other that were non-fatal, but 2 more shootings. He continued these crimes for just about a full solid year. This was July 29th, and it went until July of 1977. And then when he was caught, one of the big things that, if you don't know about this guy, he said he got the orders to kill from his neighbor's dog that was like possessed by Satan.
Yeah, did you read some of the notes that he sent to police?
I think I have in the past, but I don't know.
It was like, basically, like, come and get me, and when you do, I'm gonna buy you guys all new shoes. That's nice of him, I guess. He was like egging them on, and then he was like, "But once you guys find me, if I got the money, everyone's getting new shoes."
Well, he's like, it's going to take a lot of walking, because that's what they did back then. It was just guys like walking around with magnifying glasses, looking at the sidewalk. I'm tired of looking at clues for this guy. My shoes are all worn out. He said he'll buy us new ones. Come on, keep looking.
Need those docs.
Another weird little bummer story here is the Couchilla kidnappings. Did you hear about this? This was a weird one. I was very fascinated by this story. On July 15th, 3 armed men hijacked a school bus and took the driver and the 26 children on board hostage. They took them and they transferred them into a truck trailer that was buried underground in a quarry. So they were like, inside of there was like some food supplies and like a mattress or like some just rudimentary place, and then they buried the opening. Then the guys went off, and everybody escaped unharmed. Everybody was fine before any kind of ransom demands even got made. All the kids and the bus driver, like, they worked together. The older kids and the bus driver worked together, like open up the ceiling, and somehow they crawl out of the dirt. They made it out because the thing that is so, the way that these guys got caught and everything, the quarry where they buried the kids was owned by one of the kidnappers' father. So basically this rich kid like kidnapped these children to go do this, him and 2 of his buddies or whatever.
Idiots.
Yeah, this is how stupid these guys are, right? So when they tried to make their ransom demands the next, like, or not the next day, but like immediately thereafter or whatever, they couldn't get through to the police because the police lines were jammed with all of the worried parents and all the people the news, and everybody was trying to call the cops because there's a bus full of missing kids, right? So they couldn't get through to make their demands. So they decided to call back later, and they all fell asleep. And then while they're asleep, they saw on TV news reports that the victims had freed themselves and were all safe. So they got caught and sentenced to life without parole, and then changed. Their sentence was changed to life with parole because of a lack of any kind of bodily harm to the kids. So they were able to appeal it and be like, hey, no one actually got hurt. And this was kind of like a big case in future sort of legislation about, mental trauma and everything. Because like, obviously these kids are going to be traumatized from this experience, but because they weren't harmed, the parole option was granted to these guys. And as of 2022, they all 3 are paroled.
Damn.
So yeah, they all got out because of that, because they never actually hurt anybody. But I think they were some real pieces of shit, man. This is
Seriously.
a real terrible thing.
I mean,
yeah, what assholes.
But when you
it's funny
capture
that
that many people, they're gonna get out. Like, that's a lot of people.
That's true. That's a lot. Yeah, that is a lot. I can't remember all the ages of the kids, but I mean, they were all between. There was a decent spread.
If
Of
they're
them, I feel like. It
between,
was like 7 to like
I
15.
was gonna say, if they were anywhere in those like upper ages, it wouldn't take much. And a
Yeah,
teacher
no,
to
and the bus driver really, good on that person. I can't remember who they were, but really awesome job helping to free those kids, and nobody got hurt. They all made it out. I think it's so
Yeah.
funny that the fucking stupid criminals.
they shouldn't lock it from the
We'll-
outside. What did they? How the fuck?
We'll
did
call
they get
back
out?
later and fell asleep, and then they wake up and it's like, oh shit, they're on the news. Like, well, we made it out of the hole.
They're just like
it's right
getting,
over there. And the guy's
getting
like,
stoned.
"Oh."
Like, this is gonna be
Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
so ridiculous. There should be a movie about this. Like, it's such a heinous crime for it to be so funny and stupid. These guys.
It would be a good movie.
I do have another news story. It's a bummer that also did get some movies made about it. I don't know if you have any research on the January 14th fleeing of the Lutz family running away from their house at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, Long Island.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, they had been in the house for 28 days. That's like pretty much. I looked a lot into the case and stuff, and I've seen the movie, the original. I haven't seen the remake, but a year prior to them moving in, the DeFeo family was killed in their beds by their son Ronald. So there was a murder that occurred in the house. These people moved in later. They only stayed there for just shy of a month and then ran away, spawning the most successful independent film ever at the time. And, there's a lot movies about the fact that the house is haunted. That's what it comes down to. The Lutz family, that's what they say happened, more or less. They say the movie's embellished, but it was about, that there was hauntings going on and that's such a thing. But nobody knows for sure what actually happened.
It's crazy, man. I've only ever seen the movies and stuff. I didn't actually do any research on the news articles or anything like that. But what a crazy thing to have to experience. Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, who knows?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something and that's something reading about them and everything else, it's like, this was really prior to any sort of big stories about like haunted houses in the modern age happening. This wasn't something that was like they thought they were going to be getting money off of,
Like a house on
They
the
just
haunted
were-
hill.
Yeah, I mean, there was, a lot of this was not really current newsworthy stuff. They didn't think they were going to get a book deal, probably. I mean, they might have, if it's some crazy story. But really, all they were doing was run away from their house, So, but it was that's a quick turnaround time to be that scared out of your wits.
Yeah.
I mean, do you believe in ghosts?
I've never really had an experience. I'm not going to say that they don't exist. Because I'm sure there's something that stays. Believe in
Yeah,
souls
I mean,
and believe in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think most of my life I've been like, I don't really believe in that. But as I get older, I don't know. I feel like there could be something unexplained out there. I want to believe Scully. I don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
Does he believe, or is that him? I don't know.
I feel like the more I learn to realize, the less I know. Like, I
Yeah.
can't, I don't know. It's like, you hear all
that
these
is
stories.
philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that there are more things that you look into and you go, oh, you can explain this and this and this. And at a certain point, you have to go, there's stuff we can't explain. So, is that just our science isn't there yet? And then it's like at a certain place you get to it and it's well, are we going to be able to scientifically prove ghosts one day? Who knows?
That'd be crazy. I mean, all the shows try.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the point of so many people's livelihoods. So I have one more news story. It's not a bummer. You got anything else sad?
Fidel Castro became the president of Cuba. That's sad.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that's but definitely, man, feels like one of those things that would have happened way earlier than that, just by how.
Yeah, they said he died in like 2011. It's like, what the fuck? I didn't even know I was alive when he was alive.
It's kind of like Pablo Picasso. When you hear about his life time, and you're like, oh shit, I thought that guy was around like in the, well, I don't know, early days of art or something like that, but he was way more recent than you think. Or Salvador Dali, really, I guess is what I'm thinking of, right?
Either way, yeah, I think no. Picasso was in the 50s, 60s, right?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah,
Also Salvador Dali, too, I guess,
yeah.
you're like, this guy was around in the 70s. That's crazy. Well, here's a fun news story to lead us into the food portion of our afternoon. The Judgment of Paris. This was a Paris wine tasting put on by a British wine merchant named Stephen Spurrier and his American colleague Patricia Gallagher. So they went to France and had a bunch of French enophiles. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it was the word that was on there. Wine lovers that participated in 2 blind taste tests. They pitted a Chardonnay from each country, France and the United States, and a red wine, a French Bordeaux, and a California Cabernet Sauvignon. The California wines won each category. And this was very shocking to everybody. The guy Spurrier, who put on the competition, actually sold mostly French wines, and he was hoping for the French wines to win. So it was kind of like a huge upset. Everybody was totally shocked by the fact that California swept the awards.
Yeah, I heard about that. It just helped put Napa on the map.
Yep, Napa on the mappa. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, another thing that my whole life, California has been recognized as being a world-class wine producing region, but even throughout our lives, I feel like it still is something where they're always trying to prove that they've got as good a selection as France does,
Yeah, trying to reclaim
But
that
apparently it's better.
1976 trophy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they did like a rematch, and it was still mostly all California. I think France ended up taking like the number 4 spot or something. I don't know. But it was still pretty handily California wines.
Well, now
So if you're a
down
wine
here,
lover,
now if you're down here in Temecula, they say that that's rivaling Napa Valley now.
so wine lovers, it's a great time to come on down to California. Buy your ticket today. And
They're
a big
like,
jug.
Fuck no. Anywhere else. Country, I'll go.
Well, 1976 was a time where you could go to a Haagen-Dazs retail location for the first time at a brick and mortar establishment and buy yourself some ice cream. Also, Jason's Deli opened up. 7-Eleven introduced the Big Gulp. That's fun. That feels very 70s.
Yeah. The downfall of America.
Everlasting Gobstopper came out in connection to the movie.
When did the
Willy
movie
Wonka
come
and the
out?
Chocolate Factory. I think 71, I want to say. It's earlier than this. A couple years earlier. I was surprised that I thought the Gobstoppers were like from our childhood. I didn't realize they were something that had been around for so long. Like it was
Yeah.
pretty close to the movie. The movie might have even been like 73 or something. It was fairly close. Also, Golden Grams came out this year.
Yeah.
I really like Golden Grams.
Golden Grams.
Also makes sense. That feels like a very 70s cereal. They're
Yeah,
good, but they're
even
also like
the
kind of
coloring.
simplistic.
It's like
Yeah,
yellow and
right.
brown.
Yeah, they got little brown squares. How do we really accentuate that? Yellow. Yellows and browns. This is also a little food introduction. Krating Dang
What do you just call
was
them?
introduced. This is introduced in Thailand to rural workers, people who are working on the farms and stuff, as an energy drink that literally translates to Red Bull. The Krating Dang, or Dang, I don't remember how to pronounce it. This was basically a precursor. This isn't exactly the same thing as Red Bull, even though it kind of is what Red Bull is. A British entrepreneur visited Thailand in 1982 and adapted the formula for Western tastes. And he basically he instead of just being like, "Oh, I'll market this to other places and we'll have I'll work with you guys or whatever." He was just like, "I'm gonna sell it over there, okay?" And they said, "Oh, okay, I guess." So he also is Red Bull, and they're kind of Red Bull. Even so, it's kind of almost the same thing, but not really. They're sort of partnered, but not really. They are 2 different companies, basically.
I thought that Red Bull was like a Dutch company.
Yeah, right. He was Austrian.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I said that, but
He's-
yeah,
I
he's.
think he said English.
I kind of think I did too. I might have just been remembering the guy from the French winemaking thing. This guy was Austrian. His name was Dietrich Mateschwitz.
Definitely not English.
Last food thing, the world's largest entertainment McDonald's. That's the name of this place. It's just a regular McDonald's, but it has a name. I thought that was really weird. And the name is super weird too. World's largest entertainment McDonald's. It opened in Orlando. This place is 3 stories tall, 19,000 square feet,
Shit.
and has over 50 additional menu items that are only available here at the world's largest McDonald's.
It's still there?
Yeah, it's still operating. You can get brick oven pizzas, Belgian waffles, custom pasta dishes, and omelets.
I don't want to get any of those things from McDonald's.
I would try waffles.
Yeah, the pizza sounds interesting.
Pizzas, I don't know how I would feel about that. Pasta, I know. That's another thing too. I know they sell some of this stuff in other countries. Like I feel like Italy, you can get an Italian, you can get a pizza at McDonald's.
I didn't go to McDonald's in Italy. I went in Spain.
They should have. Was there special things?
Yeah, but it was just like different sandwiches.
Yeah, see, I mean, they offer different things in different areas. So, McDonald's in general, I can assume should be able to cook more than one thing. And this is in Orlando, so it's near Disney World. It should be, an exciting thing for people from all over the world to go. Oh my God, this pasta is just like back home in Italy. I can't believe how great McDonald's is. Two little inventions. One was Ginsu knives came out for the kitchen. I thought that was made sense, and it felt very 70s. Also, Nespresso machines. I thought that was felt pretty early on for those. I would think with like little individual cups.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, mid 70s. You're just brewing your own little 1 cup of espresso.
Yeah, but I feel like those have been around for a long time. Like espresso
this was,
machines like that were not for home use.
There were the big old giant ones that people would see in places, and so this was espresso was becoming popular, so they made the not portable, but yeah, consumer friendly.
That's
That's
all
all my food stuff things though. Got some other inventions.
I got some inventions. Let me see here really quick. Well, as far as technology goes, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs found Apple computer in his parents' garage in Cupertino, California. Obviously, setting the foundations for the largest company basically in the world. If you're listening to this, you're probably listening to this on an Apple product
Device. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be one of like, in like 100 years, there's gonna be a cartoon and it's gonna be like Apple, Google, Amazon, long ago. The 3 nations lived in harmony. But that's gonna be like all there is left is just those 3 companies. They run everything. Like, where do you live? Oh, I live in Apple.
It's gonna be rivalries.
Microsoft. I didn't see the date or write down any info about it. I just wrote down that Microsoft also was founded this year.
And so it begins.
Yeah, right. I kind of feel like Microsoft, even though it still is a huge company, they just don't feel like they're going to be. I mean, I guess I don't know if they're the 4th nation in that avatar. Maybe they're like the Air Nation. It's kind of like, where's Microsoft been? They were great 100 years ago.
They're still over there playing Xbox.
Bill Gates, he's going to come out of the frost at any point. Another fun invention that was going on, 1976, the Viking 1 and 2 they landed on Mars on July 20th and September 3rd, respectively. First man-made objects to land on Mars. Intentionally, that we know of, I guess. Maybe something crazy happened at some point. Something flew off and just made it there. But yeah, we sent something to Mars on purpose and it made it.
Dang, that's cool.
We did it twice. Yeah, it is really cool. Can you imagine the 70s, like the 70s technology making it to the moon? I mean, making it to Mars?
Yeah. I mean, just do your math right. I guess just shoot it really fast.
I'm always like more like impressed with the actual hardware of it. I know it seems weird to be, but I just think all the time, like, man, just the screws and stuff they were, you know what I mean? They just screwed together something and built it well enough that it made it through just space. It traveled at hundreds of miles per hour without shaking. The steel was good enough back then. Like they're, their means of production were good enough to last throughout those conditions?
Yeah, well, 7 years before this, they went to the moon and they brought people with them, supposedly.
It's true.
So, on as far as space goes, NASA's first space shuttle, known as the Enterprise, was built. And I don't think it was launched this year, but it was built and introduced to the public.
I think it's kind of silly they named it that.
Yeah, from Star Trek.
Yeah, I just feel like it's cool, I suppose, but especially at the time for it to be a pretty current reference.
Well, I feel like they do that. And then Reagan named the space program Star Wars. I think they just try to make it.
That was way worse.
It's like old people trying to be relevant. Remember when we walked? Oh, you didn't walk with me. When we walked in high school, we walked to the Star Wars theme song. It was
really for your graduation.
It was so lame.
Okay, that's funny. Yeah, I mean that's I don't know. I guess
old
it
people
makes
trying
sense.
to be
I just
relevant.
think you don't. Yeah, for sure. A few other fun inventions. All of these came out 76. The Roach Motel, Gore-Tex, Love's Diapers, Stretch Armstrong, the toy, slime from Mattel, like branded slime, gloopy gloppy. It's really way more viscous back then than you would imagine. And Whack-A-Mole, the game. Fun, thinking of the 70s kids playing with Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, that makes sense though. People still play with those.
Yeah, I had one when I was a kid. I had like a stretchy thing. I don't know if it was a branded Stretch Armstrong guy, but it was like this little machine that you would make them at home. You filled them up with like the sand on like a little thing. You plugged them in, and then they would fill up, and you could stretch them. And then I was stretching it, and it like snapped, or like the lid came off or something. But and then sand just got all over my face and all in my eyes. I was screaming and crying. My mom had to flush my eyes out.
Never played with it again, or what?
Probably not, I imagine.
So Magnavox came out with a colored TV and the Odyssey game on top of it. So it was a TV, and then there was a little button where the dial was, and you would click the button, and the first click would turn on the colored TV part of it. And then you click that button again, and it would switch over to Odyssey, which is a game. It was kind of like Pong.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was a big invention back then. I'm sure only rich people got them, but it looked cool as hell.
That's really cool. Super sick built-in video game. I wish they did that now. I wish you just bought a TV and then like an Xbox was in there already.
They tried that. Not like
it
was full on Xbox, but I remember getting a TV, or you'd get like Dish Network, and there'd be games on it that you could play.
Yeah,
with,
Netflix
like, your
has
remote.
game, but I guess you're supposed to play with your phone. But
Well,
Netflix has
same.
games on there.
Same, different.
Yeah. Other entertainment technology that came out this year, JVC introduced the video home system, the VHS. So you could start playing them on your VCR. VCRs were popular already. You could record the stuff, and this was like a way to play it, I suppose.
It lasted a long time. They're relevant into the early 2000s.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy how long technology used to hold on and be like just the norm for forever. Like VHS tapes were, I mean, that's what I bought most. The one that I remember specifically, like switching over to DVDs, was like that we had Shrek. We had it on both VHS and DVD, you know, because I love the movie so much. I think we bought the VHS tape first because it was a big fun case. It was bigger than a normal case because Shrek was a big ogre man.
Mm-hmm.
And then the DVD I remember had super cool special features. So I was like, we have to get it on DVD too. So we had it twice. So up until Shrek came out, you were still forced to choose.
Yeah. When did that came out? 2002? Something like
I think
that?
2001 maybe.
Something like that.
You were on VHS how they had special features where it'd be like, stay tuned after the movie for a special Uncle Cracker music video.
Uncle Crackers. Yeah, I remember that. Or you could watch like the director's cut, and they're like talking over the movie the whole time.
Oh yeah, I mean if you had like there were some that had like a whole extra tape of bonus features and stuff like that.
Yeah, the cut scenes.
Mhm.
And then what's the
The
outtakes?
bloopers.
Bloopers.
Yeah, that was
outtakes,
always
yeah.
that's always the best. I miss when that's like an era of movies I miss so bad is when movies just had bloopers over the credits.
Yeah, that was cool. When we make our movie, Trey.
Yeah, for sure. There's gonna be a lot of bloopers. You want to move on?
Yep.
Got some sports information.
Going from news into sports, Niki Lauda crashes in the Formula German Grand Prix in Nuremberg. James Hunt was an Australian racer who was his rival with Lauda, and he would go on to win the entire series. Ahead of the crash at the race, Lauda had raised concerns over the safety of the track, specifically lacking the safety equipment for the marshals on the course. And even went as far as encouraging other drivers to boycott the race. Tragically, they didn't do it though, and he died in the second lap, embanking his Ferrari, and it was engulfed in fire. One of the drivers crashed into his already burning car. Arturo Mazzarino was one who pulled him out of the burning fire.
Damn.
He was badly burned. He inhaled fumes, which damaged his lungs. The fire damage burned his eyes, one of his ears off, and he went over construction surgery, and all they could really do was make it so his eyelids worked again. But he would go back into driving 6 weeks later.
Whoa.
Yeah. Animal.
Well, I mean, he didn't crash, right? He's the one who pulled him out is the one who got burned up?
No.
Oh, no, he survived?
Yeah.
I thought he died.
No, he survived. But
wow.
if that guy didn't stop, he would have died. They didn't, there's no way they were getting him in time.
Damn, that's crazy. Oh, shit. Yeah, I definitely would not have gone back to racing 6 weeks. Oof.
Dude, crazy. You ever seen the movie? It's called Rush.
No, there's a movie about this?
Yeah, it's called
Oh, okay. No, I saw like some previews of that and I was like, who cares about that shit? That movie did not look interesting. I didn't realize it was about a story this compelling.
Yeah, and that's just part of it. This guy between Lauda and Hunt, they have like a huge rivalry. So it's pretty
Maybe
cool.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, it just seemed like, I was like, man, racing movies are always like kind of not that interesting to me because it's just like, you know?
Yeah.
Unless it's Fast and the Furious and they're trying to get some DVD players. But other than that, I've only seen the first one. No, I'm just kidding. I've seen them all. I've seen them all. Racing-related sports information I have for you here is this was the shortest Indy 500 in history. It got rained out, and it only went 102 laps out of the 200 that it normally does. So a total of 255 miles as opposed to 500.
Damn.
Yeah, bummer for race fans, really. It's a hard year if you were into racing.
Yeah, or super exciting.
I guess, yeah. That's true, too, yeah. May you have an interesting year, the old Chinese curse.
Yeah, seriously.
Or I guess they say an interesting life.
I would rather have a year. Bad luck for a year is not bad.
Yeah.
The Seattle Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers joined the NFL to expand from 26 to 28 teams.
Two very nautical brands there.
Yeah.
The Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
But I think it's cool they did it on like both sides of the country.
Yeah.
Literally.
Sailors just aren't watching the NFL like they used to. How do we get them back in here?
Get them off their boats and in front of their TVs.
The Buccaneers?
Yeah.
Right? That was one
Yep.
of them? Yeah. I guess I thought the Buccaneers came around in the 60s. Their logo feels way older than the 70s. Their old school logo with the pirate, you know?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a cool logo, though. Another fun sports news here. The NBA merged with the ABA. So at the time, it was still the National Basketball Association and the American Basketball Association. So they agreed to a merger that had kind of been going on for a long time. This brought into the NBA the Denver Nuggets, the Indiana Pacers, the New York Nets, and the San Antonio Spurs.
That's it?
Well, yeah,
more.
it was the ABA was a small franchise. It was really kind of just more or less the NBA trying to squash their competition a little bit. Not competition, but just like these guys are pulling sales away and we're tired of it. So we're just kind of,
Gotcha.
basically there was some backlash kind of about them being a monopoly a little bit and this being something. So the ABA had to prove that they were actually like on equal footing with the NBA. So it was a whole big long process of getting this approved, actually. But yeah, so just a handful of teams. But I think it's funny. These names are all like kind of the names that you go, they're not the best names. I like the Spurs, but like the Denver Nuggets, they're all way too on the nose. The Denver Nuggets, the Indiana Pacers, and the New York Nets. Like they're all weird, kind of like feel like high school football team names, or I mean basketball team names.
I think some sports names are so stupid. The Athletics. It's like you guys didn't even try.
Yeah, like I always hated being a Packers fan, because it's
Yeah,
like
that's
this name
shitty
sucks.
too.
Everyone always says the Fudge Packers. Shut up.
We're cheese packers. Fuck off.
It's not much better. Well, they were actually a meat packing facility to actually get into it. Oh, stupid name.
Yeah, packing meat I don't think's better, Trey. Fudge.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just to go through, the World Series champions were the Cincinnati Reds. The Super Bowl
Swept
champ.
the Yankees in 4.
Yeah. Crazy. Probably the
Impressive
last
Reds.
time that's happened, to be honest. I can't remember. Not in my lifetime. The Super Bowl champions were the Pittsburgh Steelers. Swept them in 1.
The Steelers swept them in 1. The Steelers are a very 70s team.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Grit.
The NBA champions, Boston Celtics. I don't know if this was... I'm sure this was before the merger. Probably happened after the
I don't know.
season. Right.
Oh, they wouldn't have stood a chance against the Indiana Pacers that year. Let me tell you, boy. They got lucky.
And yeah, that's it for the big ones. Oh, the Stanley Cup. The Montreal Canadiens. We'll mention them.
Good job, Canadians. All of Canada gets together to get in there. Or it's just that's another one of those names that's just like so on the name. Oh, I don't know. Fuck the Canadians. Fuck. We couldn't go. We didn't know we had to have a team name. We're the only guys from Montreal. We thought you knew. All right. Well, you're on TV. The Canadians just won the Stanley Cup. You're furious as an American. You switch over. You go, fuck. What am I gonna watch? Some good old American programming. So you're probably gonna end up watching one of these two shows. The way the television seasons are measured is from half of 75 to the middle of 76, and then from the middle of 76 onward. So for the first half of the year, we know All in the Family was in the number 1 slot. Second half of the year was Happy Days. So those were your 2 number 1 choices. Also in the second highest program for both years was Rich Man, Poor Man. It was the second ever TV miniseries. So this was like they were like, let's try to do that thing again, a miniseries. And then they became really huge for a long time. Basically, like little, mini movies broken up into hour, 2-hour episodes, special event things. Now it's more like Netflix shows kind of do that a lot,
I like that because they end.
Yes, right.
I don't have to watch it for 12 years and then it gets bad and then I'm disappointed.
Also, I mean, at this point, this was a book, and a lot of things were based on books, so you knew what you were, and not like today. Also, where you have like The Handmaid's Tale, where there was like a season of it was based on a book, and then after that, they're like, "Fuck, I don't know,"
Yeah, like I
We'll
said,
just
I
make it
like
up.
when things end. It's satisfying.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Laverne and Shirley debuted this year and took the number 3 spot in the first half of the year, number 2 in the second slot, in the second half of the year. So, Rich Man, Poor Man was number 2 the first half of the year. Now I see what I wrote down. It's a very confusing system that they've got over there. I wish it was by calendar year, but it is not.
Over there, like they're still doing it.
I think so. When you look up the Nielsen ratings, this is how you're, figuring it out. Debuts of 1976. This came out in the calendar year. I know that much. These aren't some weird TV debut schedule. Charlie's Angels came out. The Bionic Woman, Laverne and Shirley, Alice, Jabberjaw, The Muppet Show, The Gong Show, and Family Feud.
The Family Feud was weird back then. It's that guy who
It's
kissed
very-
all the girls, right?
Yeah. He's got the guy
weird.
from MASH. What's his name? Richard Dawson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always just kiss all the women right on the lips if you haven't seen it. Very weird. The Muppet Show is a great show. If you don't, if you haven't seen, if you just know the Muppets from like the movies and stuff, they're way more kid friendly now than they were back then. They were not that they were like super raunchy, but it was just not really directed at kids at the time. It was just, I don't know, directed at stoners or something. I don't know. It's a very interesting show, and I really love the original Muppet Show.
I can't remember. I mean, I don't even remember it. I'm sure I watched pieces of it because I watched that show growing up, so I'm sure I didn't watch every new episode. But I don't remember
Yeah,
like,
there was-
specifically the old ones.
They also did I remember watching the ones that were coming out, Muppets Tonight, maybe it was called, like where they had a late night show on. It was that was coming out new in like the 90s or something like that. I like that one a lot too. But yeah, and that was another one where it wasn't really just directed at kids so much, where they've kind of turned into a little bit more. Another thing though that was directed right at kids was Schoolhouse Rock. This wasn't the debut of the entire series, but this was the year, because of the Bicentennial, they came out with a bunch of history themed stuff. The big prime example being "I'm Just a Bill."
Yep. Watched
Everybody's
that one a
favorite.
bunch of times.
Yeah, that's a good one. I always loved Schoolhouse Rock. I liked them all. They taught me so much about everything. Conjunction, junction. I had to learn what a junction was. Oh, it's a place where trains come together. That's what that song taught
Yeah.
me.
I was gonna say, is that the first time they started doing that, teaching kids through animated songs? Because I feel like that's all I put on for my daughter. It's just like,
Schoolhouse Rock?
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
oh, you mean, or like just animated
No,
songs?
like the whole thing, like animated songs directed towards teaching kids.
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I
a good
mean?
question. I
Like-
don't know how much there was before this, what kids programming was really like prior to 76.
Guess we'll find out when we get there.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some of this stuff when we've looked into it, and a lot of it's just like super hello kids.
Yeah.
It's me. Like they didn't really know how to act, like there's like make it look weird. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But moving away from television into music. It's a big part of the show here. We look at the top 5 on the Billboard charts for the given year. So today, for 1976, we'll be starting at number 5 and working our way down to number 1. You want to kick it off on number 5?
Yeah. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry, written by Rob Parisi. Wild Cherry frontman Rob Parisi wanted to write a song, a hit song. So his plan was to go down to the studio, find songs that were hitting number ones, and then basically copyright them to the point where he couldn't get sued, and then would just keep putting out songs like that, and he would just like keep writing them, and he did that, and then he copied Fire by the Ohio Players Club, and you can hear it like in the bass line, and then like the vocals too, like if you listen to those songs back to back.
Okay, I gotta check that out. No, I didn't see that.
So he went through and was like, I'm just gonna fuck it. He was like, I don't even care. And it worked. It's still It's still a super popular song.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know any of that. I'm glad you kicked it off on this one. I didn't have any of that. The story I saw about how he wrote the song was super lame and watered down bullshit. Now that I'm like, oh god, I would have been so embarrassed if I had said this first. And you're like, no, it was just basically this, he just went to. They were a hard rock cover band up until this point, is how the story goes. Apparently, the official version of it here is that they just were like a hard rock band, and they played cover songs, and the band like didn't want to change and play some disco music or something like that, or funk or anything. And the singer Rob wanted to, and kind of was trying to convince them. And they were playing a gig at the 2001 club in Pittsburgh. Hey, Pittsburgh again. What a 70s place this is. They were playing to a predominantly black audience, and a patron said to them, "Are you going to play some funky music, white boys?" And then he wrote the song quickly.
He already had
That's
it
the
in the
story
back
that-
of his head.
He had already, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to use that song that I have freaking stolen already."
That's probably why they didn't want to do it. They're like, no, dude, I don't want to take other people's music,
Yeah.
rewrite it, and then try to make money off it. Like, that sounds...
Yeah.
He's like, you
It's
guys are
also a
bunch of
super
idiots.
corny song, too. Like, somebody turned around and shouted, "Play that funk." I mean, it's such a cheesy song,
I mean, it's still... I don't care. It's still a fun song.
This is one of those songs I just grew up with being, it's always played in stuff. Like, especially back then, it was always played to be like, look at how out of touch this guy is.
The
you know
new
what I
guy?
mean? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
like,
it's in the new
people-
guy.
I think it must be, because like they play funk music, and that's like part of the movie is to be like, look how nerdy this fucking dude. He's in a funk band,
Yeah.
like it's one of those songs that would just be, and especially the lyrics and everything, it's always utilized to be like, look at this white nerd who thinks he's cool doing something, and he turns around all like, "Hey, everybody, I'm out of the bus now," or whatever the fuck and everything, you know. So I think that was why I had a negative association with it. But listening to it on its own, I mean, it's kind of a cool song. It's not bad.
Like I said, it's just fun. Wouldn't call it a good
Yeah.
song, but it's definitely a fun song.
This is definitely a year where you were trying to have fun with music. I think when talking about, especially when I'm getting into the next one, this leads in perfectly. What I was saying in the beginning of the episode in the intro was like us as a country kind of looking at old stuff and then also looking at current day things and looking towards the future and stuff. I think that was really reflected in the music where, disco was popular right now and not for much longer after this and not ever before this, but this was it. Like, this was the current thing to be doing. You see some stuff moving on past it already at this point. And you see, though, a lot of throughout the charts, kind of like an old harken back kind of feel to it. A lot of old 60s stuff going on, which is exemplified perfectly in the next song. Number 4 is December 1963, "Oh What a Night" by The Four Seasons. This came out December of 1975 and spent 3 weeks at the top of the charts. So this is one that's like, it's got a very 60s feel to the music of it, but also a disco bent as well. You know what I'm saying? Old meets new. This is a song that features the drummer, Jerry Pulsey, on vocals, not Frankie Valli. One of their most popular songs. I would have assumed it was Frankie, you know?
Yeah.
Frankie Valli sang the bridge and backing vocals, and the bassist, Donna Chacon, I don't know if it was Donna, might have been Donnie, and it auto-corrected, singing falsetto.
I think
So
it
also
is,
Frankie Valli not singing the falsetto part either.
because the other bandmate like married her, Bob Guadio, something like that.
Oh, then it wouldn't be falsetto. Falsetto is a man imitating a woman's voice. That's why it's called falsetto. Otherwise, it's just soprano.
I don't know.
That must have been miswritten on the Wikipedia, I would assume. They don't know their musical terms. But critics did praise it for being a disco-tinged 60s pop song. So what I was saying earlier, it's very much an old throwback song. I mean, this was, I think it was the last hit for the Four Seasons together. Frankie Valli would have another one later on with Grease from the motion picture soundtrack.
But on his own, right?
Yeah. So this was the last time. So again, old 60s dudes coming back and having a good last hurrah on the charts. So you're celebrating the old timiness of America. I think that the 1976 of it all, the bicentennialness, was like, oh, remember the good old days? Remember Frankie Valli? It's like, that's Jerry Pulsey. That's not even Frankie on the vocals. Shut up, nerd. I'm trying to damn. Okay, you want to go to number 3?
Yeah. Disco Lady by Johnny Taylor. Written by Don Davis, Harvey Scales, and Lee Vance. The Platinum Award was instituted in 1976 by the RIAA, and the album selling over 1 million units and then selling 2 million units as singles. So the reason I'm saying this is because this was it was the first single to ever been certified platinum. So it's like,
hell yeah. Like, they were the first platinum record of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, not a song, honestly. Every other one of these songs is very much a song that I knew front to back. Disco Lady was one where I had to be like, I don't know if I'm familiar with this one. For it to be the first ever platinum record, that's a real shame, Do you know this one? Were you familiar with it?
No, actually. I'm pretty sure I've heard it because this type of music is like my mom's jam. But no, I didn't remember it off the top of my head. I had to listen to it. And I didn't like it that much, to be honest with you.
It was okay. This spent 4 weeks at number 1, and it was actually number 1 for the year on the Cashbox charts, which back in the day, there was a little bit more of a kind of, not a battle necessarily, but like Cashbox was a real competitor to Billboard. After this, it's not really that worth mentioning what Cashbox has. I think they're still around. They still do charts, but now Billboard is just sort of the standard. But at the time, Cashbox still had some weight in the game. So Number one on Cashbox. The song has four members from P-Funk, from Parliament Funkadelic. It's got Bootsy Collins in it. That's cool. The bassist, that's a big get. And then also the background vocals from a group named Brandi, I think is how you're supposed to pronounce it. They were a three-piece disco group that released one album on their own. This got a Grammy nomination for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. Also the first number one song ever to have the word disco in the title, even though it's not really a disco song. The next one, much, much more disco feel to it. Number 2 is Don't Go Breaking My Heart by Elton John and Kiki D, released on June 25th of 76, spent 4 weeks at number 1. This was Elton John's first ever UK number 1. Found that very surprising that he wasn't more popular in his home country.
Yeah.
Also, for this song, it took 37 years to sell 1 million copies. So it did eventually hit platinum, but not quite as quickly as Disco Lady. It was written by Elton John and Bernie Taupin under their pseudonyms, Ann Orson and Carte Blanche. So they wrote it under ladies' names for some reason. There was no real info I could find about why they did that. It was originally written with Dusty Springfield in mind. She was going to be the lady part. But then the offer was withdrawn. And according to her partner, Sue Cameron, this was because Dusty was very ill at the time. Then I looked it up and I was like, I can't find anything about Dusty Springfield being sick in 1976. So it kind of seems like that was just a cover-up story like way later that Sue Cameron came up with for some reason. Like, actually, yeah, she was sick. It's like, they wanted Kiki D instead, apparently. I don't know.
They didn't want to do it. And they were like, you know what? He's sick. I can't do it.
What do you think of this one in general?
It was one of those passing songs that I had heard all the time. I feel like, so it went in one ear out the other. I didn't feel any kind of way about it,
It makes me wonder about how many things just like this was number 2 for the entire year, and for me it's just again another one of these songs. Like I always have that point of comparison, but that's like where I know the songs from is like how they're used in movies and stuff like that. And this is another one that's just like you don't ever put this on because you want to have a serious love scene. It's always while someone's falling down to highlight that the lady's clumsy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's always just a cheesy part in a cheesy movie. I feel like.
I got a fun little fact about this. Producer Gus Dungeon, it's a cool last name. I was with Elton. I was with Elton in Canada, and he was actually sang about 3/4 of the song and gave Kiki about 4 lines. And I said, "Hang on a minute, isn't this supposed to be a duet or a guest appearance?" And Elton replied, "A duet? Then you have to give her 50% of the song." So he was like being selfish about either the song or the rights to the song, or both.
Well, was he like advocating for her and being like, hey, if this is a duet, then we got to pay her 50%? Or was he like, oh, no, let's not do it?
No, I think that Gus was like, why isn't she in more of this song? I thought it was a duet.
Oh.
And Elton's like...
And the response is like, because we're trying to keep from having to pay her?
Yeah.
I see.
What a dick move, right?
Yeah. Well... What a little jerk he is. Didn't have enough money. I guess at this point he's still young.
Yeah.
He
hadn't gotten his number 1.
He hadn't even had a number 1. That's true. Well, speaking of number 1 in the U.S. for 76.
Silly Love Song by Wings, written by Paul McCartney. And I didn't really put this song like 2 and 2 together until Paul McCartney started singing. And I was like, fuck. I forgot that this was Paul McCartney's band.
Oh, yeah.
Paul wrote
no,
the response.
not a positive. Okay. I was going to say not a positive association with the song or what?
No, not necessarily. I just don't. Well, I don't like Paul McCartney as much as everyone else does. I like him as a Beatles
I'm not a huge
member,
fan either.
I guess. But
well, his music is, he admits it himself,
favorite.
His music can be very silly from time to time.
Yes.
I feel like is a good way to describe it, and that's what he was owning up to here.
Well, this says that Paul wrote the song in response to the Beatles breakup because John Lennon once told him, you're just going to write another silly love songs.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, basically Paul was like, yeah, because that's what makes money,
fuck
bitch.
You. Exactly. He's a money man. He makes a lot of it. He makes some. This spent 5 non-consecutive weeks at number one, so went away from the top spot and came back. I always find it impressive when a song can do that. This is also he was the first person to have a year-end number one as a member of 2 distinct acts. So the Beatles hit number one with "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in 1964, and then also "Hey Jude" in 1968. So he had been a number one, you know, music man with the Beatles. Then by himself, he was the first guy to do it after the fact.
That's super cool. He's super accomplished, like talented guy. Just not my favorite.
Yeah, me too. I agree. And we've talked before about all of the lists that Billboard comes out with. But you know what? They're not going to stop doing it. They're going to look at me and Mark and be like, some people think they might have had enough of Billboard song lists. But this one is number 31 on Billboard's greatest songs of all time. So another one is they have if you haven't heard before, we bring up these lists constantly. There's always just like this one was number one on the 54 greatest summer songs since 1965 to 2003, or just there are like so many of these things. But this is number 31 on Billboard's greatest songs of all time. I don't agree.
No, but I don't agree with most of those lists that we talk about. So
yeah, I agree. But there were a lot of other cool things that came out this year.
Super cool songs this year.
Yeah, if you want to check out what was coming out for the year, we got a Spotify list that has the top 5, and then after that, there's like 45 other songs that are from the top 100, and then beyond that's just other stuff that came out the year. You can check out all the cool different things that there are. What jumps out to you, my friend?
Margaritaville. No, there was a bunch of cool music this year. I just thought that was funny. I mean, Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously the just classic. There's so many. Bee Gees, Eric Clapton, or Eric Carmen, sorry, Aerosmith. This is when Aerosmith, before they fell off, and then got popular again later. Fleetwood Mac, Slow Ride by Foghat, Peter Frampton. I still have this album. My aunt gave me a original pressing of Peter Frampton.
The Comes Alive?
Yeah.
That's cool. Oh, an original pressing. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really usually I was going to ask you actually about that. How do you feel about live albums in general? I don't really listen to them very often myself.
I like that one. I don't listen to them.
I think everybody liked that. I mean, it's really, I don't know that I can remember when putting together these lists seeing a live song on the top 100, but this time there was one. And I mean, this was an album that so many people had. But yeah, usually I don't really listen to them very often, but there was the Eagles' greatest hits came out this year. It was the first ever platinum album. We talked earlier about platinum distinction coming out. This is the first platinum album to come out, selling 1 million copies. It was the best-selling album of the 20th century, and maybe the best-selling album of all time, depending on how you look at it. Thriller surpassed this album in 2009 after Michael Jackson died, but the Eagles' greatest hits regained the title of best-selling album in 2018. So apparently that's the best-selling record ever. Yeah, was not aware of that.
You don't even really like the Eagles, huh?
No, I'm not an Eagles fan at all. A lot of really big, huge artists this year that were like, man, not for me.
Dude, Nazareth? Nice.
Yeah, right? That was a cool one to be. They were super high up on the list, too. That shocked me. This was the first Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers album and the first Phil Collins Genesis led album. So both of those guys took over singing for their bands and then would make them popular after this. They were totally both operating for a while before this, and then they switched singers, and then everybody started listening to them. Also, though, we got the debut albums from the Ramones and then Blondie.
Nice.
Which is my shirt today. Yeah. I got a shirt with Debbie Harry on it. Love both of those bands. Also, AC/DC's High Voltage album debuted in the U.S. So, United States audiences were introduced to AC/DC this year.
Super cool.
One thing that I noted about the music while I was listening to the list of stuff that had come out, and a lot of stuff from the top 100 was while the playlist was going and I was like walking the dogs and stuff. I kept anytime a new song would come on, I frequently would remember a specific scene from something like a comedy thing from when I was a kid, and I just wrote down a couple of them because I started to go, man, there's a lot of shit from this year that apparently, people who were writing comedies, they grew up listening to this stuff, and so in the '90s, when they're of the age to start doing it, they're incorporating this. Is kind of my thinking of it. You got Evil Woman was in Austin Powers, Bohemian Rhapsody and Dreamweaver were both in Wayne's World, so big year for Mike Myers. Saturday Night, You Sexy Thing, and Love Machine were all featured in the movie Heavyweights. You remember that movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
I love that movie too. It's about it's Ben Stiller is like a psychotic
Camp counselor,
camp director of a place where heavy kids go to lose weight, and he's super mean to them. But yeah, so all three of those songs were in that movie. Convoy was in Futurama, and then Frampton Comes Alive. I remember being referenced in Family Guy at one point where he's like, I'll tell you about a monster. Frampton Comes Alive. You tell me one person you knew who didn't have that album. So this was a very formative year for comedy writers, apparently. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's true. I think what you said makes sense.
Mm-hmm. They're all just of the age now to write stuff. Got any other musical notes?
No, I do not.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please silence your cell phones and turn your attentions to the screen. We're about to start talking about movies. We're going to go and look at the number one movie of 1976 at the box office. Now, anytime we're looking at old-timey stuff, getting figures is a little hard, They didn't keep track of everything as much as they do nowadays. So there weren't like really up-to-date figures on movies. It was an after-the-fact thing. So in 1977... they told you who was the number one movie in 1976 for the whole year, and apparently it was Rocky. Now, the movie came out December 3rd of 1976. Leads me to believe, I'm assuming, I don't know this movie made $117 million, which was its total gross. I don't know that it made all that first, in the month of December. So, I think this might have been the number one movie in 1977. But as far as the figures are concerned and what we're dealing with here, I know this was popular at the time. Everyone was excited to go see Rocky. Feels like a summer movie, doesn't it?
Yes.
For it to have come out in December. Let me just run down these other couple facts real quick. Came out December 3rd, 1976. $960,000 budget, $117 million gross. Directed by John G. Avildsen and written by Sylvester Stallone, who starred in it with Talia Shire, Burt Young, Carl Weathers, and Burgess Meredith. There we go. All right. Yeah, no, this movie is, the big fight takes place on July 4th, right?
No, I think it's January 1st.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know there's
there's
a Thanksgiving scene. Yeah, there's the Thanksgiving scene early in the movie, and then there's the Christmas scene for a second. And then it moves on to the fight, which, again, I think it's because of all of the just 1776 imagery. In my head, it's a summertime movie, and this was just a July 4th fight.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's just a 1776 themed fight.
I feel like watching this movie again, I feel like I've never seen it. I know I have, but I don't remember any of it, except the fight at the end. And the part where he talks to him in the meat locker. I feel like other than that, I don't remember any of the movie. So
I understand.
It was kind of cool, like rewatching it for the first time, basically.
Yeah, this is one that I have not seen in a little bit. This is definitely the Rocky movie I've seen the most, because I did watch this a good amount when I was a kid, like when I was in high school or whatever. This was one of my favorite movies, so I watched this one a lot. And then I realized, though, the thing about the Rocky movies is that there are so many of them that, like, if you watch each of them, you just watched like 6 or 7 movies, So the fact that you've seen them all is like, yeah, I've seen Rocky. I'm familiar with Rocky. But even that's like, I've seen, 14 hours of Rocky movies, but it's just each of them once. So if you've seen them all twice even, that's a lot, So It kind of feels like you can be very familiar with Rocky and then watch any of the movies and be like, I don't actually really remember this that well. I just remember the big points of it. Oh yeah, he fights Mr. T at one point. I couldn't really tell you most of the rest of the third movie. You know, I just know he fights Mr. T.
I feel like I watched
So
the second one the most, where he fights the Russian,
that's the fourth one.
or the fourth one. Yeah, I feel like that's the one I watched the most.
I
Who
think
does he
that's
fight in the
most
second one?
people.
Oh,
Apollo again.
Apollo again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the second and third are probably most people's fuzzy points in the series. The second one, he goes back and fights Apollo again. That's probably the one I've seen the least. And then the third one, he fights Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. And then in the fourth one, he fights Ivan Drago. The fifth one, he just fights some random kid named Tommy. That one sucks. And then the sixth one is where he's an old man and fights a young man. The seventh one is Creed number 1, and the eighth one's Creed number 2, and the ninth one's Creed number 3. If you're continuing in that trajectory.
I didn't see any of the Creeds. Have you seen them?
The first one's really good. The second one is pretty good still. I liked the second one. The third one I didn't love.
Good to know.
But yeah, but it's a trilogy of movies. The third one's always not going to be super strong, probably, But people liked it. It's Michael B. Jordan directed it, and I think
That's cool.
he made some weird choices. I should read this off in case you're not familiar with the story of Rocky. Rocky Balboa, a poor small-time club fighter and loan shark debt collector from Philadelphia, gets an unlikely shot at the World Heavyweight Championship held by Apollo Creed.
It's a super cool idea for a movie.
But yeah, for sure. And to your point, I was watching it, and my wife was like, I don't remember any of the stuff about him being like a loan shark guy. Like, there's so much of this movie that you do just kind of like forget about. It's really, really much more dry and slow than you would expect if you're familiar with the franchise. This one's a really good. That's why I loved this one when I was young. It's a really, really good movie.
It is a good movie.
It's a good piece of cinema,
I think it was good the way that, because I don't remember Apollo Creed being so business-minded and arrogant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, there's so much of this movie I don't feel like I remember. It was like watching it for the first time.
An interesting note about, because he's so like just such a presence and so strong, Carl Weathers, in that movie, not just physically, but like every scene he's in, he's just like, this is what we're doing and this is how it's going to work, and everybody like listens to what he's saying and stuff. He was like 28 in that movie.
Damn.
Doesn't he look like he's like 38? Like he just
Yeah.
looks like such a fucking like brick house of a man. He's just like this huge dad figure. The hair and the mustache make him look a lot older, but he was a young ass man in that movie.
Yeah.
He's younger than
you're right.
Sylvester Stallone.
Damn.
He looks like Sylvester Stallone's uncle or something, and he's younger than him.
It's so funny you say that, because I was thinking Sylvester Stallone looks so young.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 30.
Even then, I feel like he looked younger than that.
Yeah, I could see it. The first draft of this movie was written in 3 days. He wrote it real quick. They did change some stuff, obviously. It always happens with movies. But like the general idea of it, he hammered out real quick. A lot of it was based on like his own life as an actor, his struggles for coming up and like all of the hardships of doing it, and the different types of jobs you have to take and blah, blah, blah. So if you watch it under that lens, it makes a lot of sense, and that's how he was able to play it so well. Because I don't think Sylvester Stallone's a good actor by any stretch. I love his movies. I really love like Tango and Cash and Demolition Man and stuff. He's not a very good actor, but in this movie, he's really good. And even the later Rocky movies, he loses the ability to play Rocky very quickly. The second one I watched right after this, and he loses that ability of playing this guy in a way that like is so human, like, oh, he's such an idiot, but also very sweet. And just, he fumbles through everything in a way that's like so realistic because it was so true to his life,
Yeah, now that you say it, that makes sense. I would say he did a really good job, and I can't remember him really being a good actor outside of this movie, kind of like you said.
Yeah, I can't even think of too many other like serious roles he's ever undertaken. Like he kind of quickly became an action guy, after this. He did First Blood, and that sort of led him down the path of being a big tough guy, Plus, in the sequels of these movies, he's just getting buffer and buffer as they go along as well.
Yeah.
Speaking to the quality of this movie, though, this was the first sports movie to win the Best Picture Oscar.
It's cool.
Also, though, to kind of speak to the, like, not a ton of sports stuff happens in this movie.
Yeah. But it was very much based around it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, like, the same way, It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie. It's like there's some Christmas in that movie. Or like more like Die Hard. Like Die Hard has as much Christmas going on as this has boxing. You know, in the beginning scene, there's a boxing match. He's boxing in the beginning. Then he goes around, and every once in a while, you see some boxing decorations and shit. And then at the end, there's like a big boxing party. But that's it.
A boxing party.
Exactly like Die. It's just like Die Hard.
Some of the scenes were weird. I thought he was gonna rape that girl in the apartment. Dude, I was like, what is happening right now?
Hey, don't you want to sit on this nasty ass fucking disgusting couch? Come on.
It's a nice couch.
It's safe.
There's like papers all over and stuff. Go in and sit down.
I'll try to clean up in here for you. Man, he is so like such a creep in that movie the whole time. It's like,
so
dude, leave
weird.
these women alone.
Dude.
Like Adrian in the pet shop comes in and badgers her nonstop, and then the little girl, he's like, "Hey, you're growing up to be a whore. Everyone's gonna think you're a real whore if you keep hanging out with us." He's like, "Stop saying whore in front of this child. What's wrong with you?"
So weird.
And then
dude.
she tells him like, "Hey, fuck off, creep," or whatever. And it's like, good for her, man. The only person who can stand up to Rocky. He deserves it. He's like, "Oh, just such a nice guy." It's like, "You're not a nice guy. You're a weirdo."
And then he kept calling his turtles animals. They weren't like he never like called them turtles. Well, I don't
That's
feel
funny.
like one
Oh, you
time.
remember when you sold me these animals? Is that what he said? Like,
Yeah,
stuff like
I
that?
got some exotic animals inside.
Yeah. Cuff and Link, they were their names.
Yeah, and
He
then
kept
the
those
fish,
turtles in
and
real
then
life.
the fish Moby Dick.
Oh, I forgot about the fish name. His dog's name, what was it, Butkus? That was his dog in real life. And prior to the movie being made, he was like so broke he couldn't afford to feed the dog anymore, so he was trying to sell him. Because he was like, I can't keep feeding him, so I gotta get rid of him. And then, success story, he fucking got the movie made and got Butkus in the actual movie.
That's cool.
The making of this movie, are you familiar with like sort of the behind the scenes information about how he got it made and stuff?
No.
It's very, very cool. I mean, this is like, you know, he's not a great actor, but it's like so cool that he went on to be one of the most successful dudes for so long because he made this movie, right? He turned out the script really quickly. It was kind of about his life, and he refused to make the movie. He wasn't going to sell it to anybody unless he got to star in it. He's like, this is my story. I'm going to star. That's the only way this happens. So he turned down a 6-figure deal with United Artists, and so they're going to offer him, you know, upwards of $100,000, which especially at the time, like that's a good amount of money. And he said, "No, I'm not doing it unless I'm in the movie. You gotta understand, you know." Blah, blah, blah. So they're like, "I guess this guy's serious." So they like totally slashed the budget of the movie and let him star in it. He had $106 in the bank when he actually finally sold the movie.
Damn.
Was trying to sell his dog even, you know. So yeah, he really held out and got to make the movie he wanted to make, and then it won an Oscar. Like, that's gnarly. What
Hell
a cool
yeah.
story.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, really, he was the one guy who could do that thing the way he wanted to do it. And then and afterwards he's like, "Hey, I can't do that again. I'm not gonna be able to do that again. I just gotta make fun and silly shit from now on," you know?
Yeah, Rambo was cool.
But yeah, he's great. I mean, and that's another one actually where he's okay in Rambo. He's playing it stoically, and he's you know, he's not putting too much effort into acting or trying to do anything.
He
you
doesn't
know?
have
So
to. It's a lot
he's
of
okay.
action and hiding in bushes.
Yeah. It's almost funny because it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you put him in a scene and everybody around him just accepts the fact that there's this gigantic Austrian man who's just like working wherever they are. You know, he's like, "Well, I'm a scientist," and it's like, "Oh, okay, yeah. What do you think, doctor? Whatever." You know, and no one ever questions it. It's almost the same thing with Sylvester Stallone, even though he's not from another country. It's just he's so hard to understand and stuff that you think he's like, why would that guy be working at the bank or anywhere else, any place that he's ever working? You're like, that guy's a normal human? Like, no, he's a fucking silly actor. That's the only thing he could be, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I didn't realize how much of like a strong man he was. I watched like an interview with him and Arnold, and he like tore his muscle like from his bone in his chest.
During
That's
one of the
why,
fight scenes?
No, and he was working out, but it was right before Rocky 2, and that's why Rocky 2 he's not a southpaw.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize it changed the whole thing. Because it's such a big part of like the training and like the stuff they talk about. And it feels like it's very tacked on in the last fight because the fight he's just fighting normal and it's like okay with him at this point because he's learned how to fight right-handed. And then at the end he's like, "Switch it up to southpaw," and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not switching. I'm gonna keep going the way I trained." So I guess it was because of that. Some of the cool budget restraint situations that this because of this movie, the budget constraints they were under, it ended up breeding some really cool shots and stuff like that. Like the ice rink being empty except for the two of them, like when they get there and it's closed and he has to bribe the guy and then they just get to romantically be by themselves. It was supposed to be filled with extras. And like when they got there were like 20 people that was like as much as the production could afford or whatever. And then they just thought, okay, that's going to look stupid. Let's just cut all of the people. And they came up with the idea of it being Rocky bribes the guy to let them escape by themselves.
It's a good idea.
So his robe being too big and the shorts being incorrect on the sign when he goes in and sees the poster and he's like, the shorts are wrong. My shorts are white with a red stripe, you know. Those were just accidents. And then the production was like, fuck, like he's gonna look stupid in this big robe. And he's like, well, I'll just say I look stupid in the big robe. And so then they did that, and it became like it's part of his underdog thing where it's like, man, no one's even paying attention to this guy or like caring that his shorts are the wrong color, you know?
Hey, sometimes those things are like happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say.
Yeah. Another cool piece of trivia about this movie here is that this was the first use or the first featured. This movie came out, the first footage of a Steadicam being used in a movie. I think it got used on a different production before this, but this movie came out first. But the Steadicam came out this year, which is like an apparatus the cameraman wears that allows them to run around and the camera stays smooth. As opposed to before this, you would just put it on a dolly on a track and slide it back and forth, or you could have it on a crane possibly, but you could only be in one spot really. So this movie has so much action footage of him running with, down the street, running up the steps. That shot would have been mind-blowing for audiences back then. Like something we can't appreciate now because they wouldn't have been able to set up on the Philadelphia court, or the Philadelphia, whatever the fuck that is, steps, a big track to go up and then flatten and then go up again. It was just a guy running next to him. But which was actually, that was the original footage that the dude who invented the camera, he filmed his girlfriend running up those steps. So he sold it on the strength of that footage. And then it was so cool that the director was like, I'm buying that and doing that.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
That's where all
one of the
the
most
money
iconic
went.
shots.
Into that camera.
Yeah, I thought that was some pretty neat stuff. You don't hear that,
Yeah.
But again, it's really cool to put yourself in the shoes of an audience and be like, whoa, what a cool shot, man. How the fuck did he do that? How did they make him run up the step like that, Yeah, it was pretty neat. My last thing I wanted to point out about this movie is my absolute favorite line in it. I never had noticed until this time is like after the fight, everybody knows the big part where he's like, Adrian, Rocky, and she's running, trying to get up onto the ring so she can hug him after the big fight and everything, make sure he's okay, blah, blah, blah. They finally get united. He sees her. The first thing he says to her right when she comes up to him is, where's your hat? Because it had fallen off while she was running up to the stage. It was so fucking funny. It made me laugh so hard I rewound it. You could see the hat fly off while she's running up to the stage for some reason.
I saw the hat fly off. I didn't hear him say that.
It's so funny too because it's like, I can imagine that her hat fell off during one of the takes of her running up there, and so then it's like, for continuity's sake, we have to have her hat fly off, and then he's like, no one's gonna know that her hat flew off unless I point it out. I gotta make sure people know. Where's your hat? And it just made me laugh so hard. And then I watched the second movie, and it opens up with like a recap of the first one, and it's just like all like little pieces of the scenes back to back to back, like old movies used to do. And it shows them reuniting on stage, and it included, where's your hat? I thought it's like such a good line. They had to show you about it the second time you watch Rocky's story.
It's so funny. What do you think was like a genuine reaction? Like she ran up and he's like, where's the hat? You guys never run up here without a hat.
That's more likely. That is probably it. He's like, hey, I wrote this movie. She had a hat on. You can't be fucking with my vision out there,
Oh man.
Well, got anything else about this movie you want to say?
I thought that there should have been like the conversation with Mickey where he like told him that he forgave him and let him be his manager. It was just like in the back of the street and you didn't hear anything.
But yeah, they don't really make anything of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You get it. You get the concept. But I didn't like that part.
Well, yeah, the whole Mickey story is a little weird. I mean, as it goes on, he becomes like a more endeared figure, and Paulie too, man. Like this movie, like really, every Rocky's a real creep. Paulie's a huge piece of shit in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like hard to like him at all. He's so terrible to Adrian. Like throws the chicken out the window or the turkey out the window and stuff like that for no reason.
Yeah.
Like he's like, sometimes I just want to split her hut open with a razor blade. And it's like that's not a fucking funny dig to make or whatever. That's psychotic. This guy's awful.
He's just drinking the whole time.
Yeah, and then like Mickey, really just you're kind of just like, man, he really just doesn't give a shit about Rocky. It feels like, and like his only reasoning is like, "Cause you're not as good as you should be,"
Yeah, I feel like those two characters were really shitty, and then nothing came of it.
Yeah, and they kind of are just fair weather friends, and then when he starts doing well, they both hop on the bandwagon, and he's like, "Hey, cool, finally friends. I was trying to be friends with you guys earlier, remember? Now we could be friends." I guess it's just because he's a stupid idiot.
Yeah, I guess.
Cut me, man, cut me. Oh, that part was so gnarly. Remember that? I don't know, it just popped in my head.
Yeah.
I guess his eye slit open. Oof. So gross. Can you imagine getting punched again and again in that spot then after that? Like your eyelid didn't come off.
Yeah, but dude, people have been doing it for years.
Boxing is wild. It's such an archaic thing to just send two dudes, just let's go. And everyone's like, come on, I want that guy to. It's like the most, as a sport, that they even bother like using boxing gloves is weird. Like, we got to protect these guys. Like, what?
Well, probably because they didn't last. It's like,
yeah,
you get through how long? A couple of minutes. They're still bare knuckle boxers.
That's so crazy.
Or even like the UFC gloves. Those aren't padded.
Yeah,
not really.
Right, they're really small. Yeah, just have one of those old, gladiator ass sports that's still around, like
so
bull riding and stuff.
But it's not even like wrestling. I feel like wrestling makes more sense because you were fighting somebody. You wouldn't just use your fists. It'd be like kickboxing, or you would try to tackle them. So boxing, just like, no, you guys can't do anything else but just beat the shit out of each other with your fists.
I know. Yeah, I keep standing up.
Yeah. Get back up.
I just want to see who hits harder.
Yeah.
It's so weird. All right. Well, what do you think about this movie? If you got to rate this on a scale.
How many Adrians?
It's. I really still do. I still do think this movie's great. Just really well acted and stuff. It's a weird freak of a movie where it's like all the parts of it like shouldn't add up to being as good a movie it is. The more we dissect it, the more it's like, this movie is like really weird and super mean and stuff, but I still really love it. So, you know what I'm going to do? In honor of our nation, I'm going to give this one 1,776 Adrians.
That's high. Wait.
Yeah, I really.
That's pretty high.
200 down. It's pretty. Yeah, I really did like it.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 1,590 Adrians. Wait. Adrians.
Thank you. I think I did get swept up, much like everyone else did back in 1976. I think I got swept up in the patriotism of it. This one might have gotten a higher score than I truthfully feel, but I'm sticking by it because I love our nation. I think it's a great film. It celebrates America. Some other films that came out this year are a couple of critically acclaimed darlings. Of course, you got Taxi Driver. You can't get past this year without talking about that, right? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. Not in a long time, but I watched
it for the first time recently.
I watched it probably like 10 years ago for the first time.
I watched it last year for the first time, so I don't remember it great because I watched 429 other movies last year, but I do remember being slightly underwhelmed. It's not as violent as people say. Not that I need things to be violent, but it's just like all the action really is like one scene kind of at the end. And I kind of found the rest of it to be not super compelling. Not that I, again, can't watch a slow movie. I liked Rocky. I thought it was the better slow movie with a burst of action towards the end of 1976 myself. But a gritty-ass year, man. Like, everything has got that feel to it. Like, everything's in the city, There's just, like, all the violence in all the movies. I also watched Marathon Man this week to prep for it. I had never seen that before with a young Dustin Hoffman. Not that young, but he's like 30. That's a really good one.
Never seen it.
He's dealing with an ex-Nazi who's trying to get a hold of some briefcase and some items, and he's just a kid at school who's training for a marathon. Marathon doesn't really come in. Spoiler alert, doesn't really come into play at all. So don't be going expecting a marathon. He just runs a little bit. Barely a part of the movie. I don't know why.
Is that also a sports movie in the category? For
I guess you could call it that. I don't know that I have other sports movies. Do you have anything? Oh wait, no, I do. One, Bad News Bears.
Oh yeah. That was probably more sports related than any other ones we talked about.
Probably. Yeah, the whole thing. They're playing a lot of baseball in that movie.
The whole time they're like on
That's
the
a good
baseball
one.
field.
Yeah. Have you seen the remake? I haven't seen the Billy Bob Thornton one.
Yes, a long time ago, but I have seen it.
One that I did see when I was a kid, I remember watching, not a kid, like in high school, I watched a movie called Mother Jugs and Speed. It's a movie with Bill Cosby and Harvey Keitel as ambulance drivers. They work for a private ambulance company in Los Angeles. And their name, that's like their nicknames is one of them is named, I think Jugs, and the other one's named Speed or something. One of those two. Well, I know one of them's name is Speed, but yeah, they drive private ambulances, which I didn't know was a thing, and it turns out that's like still kind of a lot of how it works. That's why ambulance bills are so high. It's not just like a state-run thing. It's a lot. There are, but a lot of it is private ambulance companies go and pick people up.
Yeah, I think AMR is one of the only like state ones. There's a lot of other ones.
I don't know.
See them driving around.
Yeah, a different colored one, or sometimes you'll see one and be like, why is that one blue? It might be just that is an ambulance company who makes their own ambulances and travels people around. I think that's wild that we just put that in the hands of private companies.
That's what all of our medical system is. Kaiser Permanente.
That is true, yeah.
Anyway.
That's a good point. Silver Streak's another comedy that came out this year. I love that one. Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. They did a bunch of movies together. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Logan's Run is another one of my favorites from this year. A sci-fi movie.
It's a great movie.
Starring Michael York from Austin Powers. Hey, another Austin Powers reference.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? That's probably why he was in that movie. Mike Myers was probably like, I love that movie, and I like the guy who stars in it. I'm going to have him play Basil. Could be.
Yeah.
Grey Gardens I watched again also leading up to this week for the first time. That is that is going to be on my one of my favorite movies going forward. It's a trip, man.
Never seen it.
It's about Jackie Kennedy, her aunt and cousin. So they're from a rich family, obviously. They had a bunch of money, and they live in this dilapidated old house that's like falling apart. There's like raccoons in the walls and stuff like that. Did you watch Documentary Now with Bill Hader and Fred Armisen? The comedy show that was on IFC, where they did like mock documentaries that were funny. The first episode of that show is a parody of this. So I mean, they just live in this they're crazy. They're just like, they talk about old, like they do create like little dances and stuff because it's like, oh, I used to sing back in the day, and they have old records that they play of them singing. The house though is falling apart, and like the mattresses are all stained, and there's like 1,000 cats running around, and everything's overgrown. And it's just a documentary about them like in their life. And the filmmakers are just kind of following them around for a while. And it's so compelling. I think people probably, it's not exactly for everybody, but I could not stop watching it. It's, it's a cult classic. So check it out. And then, don't keep watching if it's not grabbing you, but if it is, it's a real ride. It's an interesting movie.
All right, I'll check it out. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's a great movie. Classic.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was this year. I somehow neglected to write that one down. That's a good one. Oh, Network is another real big one. And A Star Is Born. Have you seen the original of those?
No, I haven't seen either of them actually.
Actually, I think there's even one that's before this. I think there's like a 50s version or something.
I haven't seen any of them.
But I've seen the Lady Gaga version. It's all right. Last ones I will mention here. Assault on Precinct 13. John Carpenter movie. It was really good. I watched that also leading up to it. The one I watched the other day for the first time was Alice, Sweet Alice. It's like a slasher movie. But the two big ones I will say are Carrie and The Omen.
Yeah.
Landmark horror films.
The Omen for sure.
I love The Omen. Carrie's really well regarded. It's not my favorite, but The Omen is one of my favorite horror movies. It's great. My laptop is actually an HP Omen, and on the back I have a sticker of Damien over the word Omen.
That's awesome.
Omen.
Omen. Yes.
Oh, hey, and you know what? I just realized, too, another thing to point out. The Shaggy DA and Freaky Friday both came out this year, and were both movies that were remade by Disney around the time that we keep talking about people harkening back to this year. So just that 20-year, maybe a 30-year cycle. There was the Shaggy Dog with Robert Downey Jr. and Tim Allen, and then Freaky Friday, obviously, with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of those, the originals, came out this year. So this was a year that was influential for people making, again, comedy stuff 20, 30 years after the fact.
I'll have to watch that movie. I've never seen it.
Which one?
The Shaggy movie.
The Shaggy DA or the Shaggy Dog?
Shaggy Dog.
I wouldn't
Really?
recommend either of them.
Okay.
No, I mean, maybe I even as a kid, I liked Freaky Friday. I did not like the Shaggy Dog. It's not very good. But I would say if I had to recommend a movie that people had not seen from this, I don't know how many people have seen Logan's Run. It's not a super, I mean, I know it's a popular movie, but it's not one everyone's seen nowadays. I would say check that one out. Out of all of this stuff that I have seen off the list, there's a couple I haven't that I should check out. All the President's Men, Network, A Star is Born.
All the President's Men I wanted to watch.
King Kong from this year with Jeff Bridges. I was interested in that, but couldn't find it anywhere. So,
you know what? I found it is on YouTube.
King Kong?
Well, no, Rocky, I should say. But might be able to find that on there too.
Yeah, probably. I forget that that's like a thing that you have the ability to do. Okay. I had a great time on this year, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I really did.
Really so much stuff that I personally am a huge fan of. It's going to be really hard for me to pick because at the end of these episodes here, when we jump back forward in time, we've kind of, I got to be honest, we sort of have abandoned the time travel element of this show, I think, a little bit.
It's true. We haven't talked about it in a minute.
Yeah, the whole premise here, folks, is we're actually visiting this year. We go back and we look at everything physically, and then we come back forward. That mentioned sometimes. So the one thing that's kind of held over is we say everything else is going to disappear, other than what we pick here. And so, what was your favorite thing of the year? What is the one thing you are preserving for the archives, and all else is disappeared from existence? A hard one indeed. You got Thin Lizzy's first album. I didn't mention that earlier. They're a great band. Good music from T-Rex. You got, the Runaways. That was also, I believe, their first album coming out. The Modern Lovers is a good one. Good movies, good TV shows. I'm going to go with, there's a bunch of stuff I like a lot. I kind of feel like some of it I'm going to have to leave by the wayside, and I just got to say with my gut here, I'm going to save the Muppets. I love the Muppets as a property, and every time there's a new thing, I watch it. If I couldn't live without my precious Muppets. Oh, my T-shirts! It's fading away. It's becoming just a black T-shirt now because I didn't save Blondie.
That's a good one. I'll give you that one. I'm going to save "Fool for the City" album by Foghat. That Slow Ride song. And I saw this band live. So if they go away, I wouldn't...
That's cool.
My memory goes away.
Yeah, who knows what you would have ended up doing on that day.
Yeah.
Could have been the day you tried crack for the first time and got hooked to ruin your life. I missed the Foghat show. Or there wouldn't have been a Foghat show. You're just like, I wish I could be doing something today.
Right.
I just really wish I could go on a slow ride. Someone's like, a slow ride? Have you tried a really fast one? Try crack. I have the opposite. Fast ride. Makes me queasy. Then you write a hit song, and then now you're a millionaire. So, you picked the wrong thing.
Picked the wrong thing.
But we wouldn't have had this podcast. So, but I didn't know you saw them. That's a fun.
We were in San Diego, and we went down there not having anything to do. We had the day off, Ryan and I, and we went to this bar. We were having beers, and the bartender was just telling us things to do. He's like, this place always has bands. I don't even remember what it was called. It was this little venue, and it wasn't that long ago, so all the members weren't even alive, but it was a small show, and we were probably the youngest people there. We were 25 probably. It was super cool.
Did they play Slow Ride?
Yes, they did.
What if they didn't? They just play that the entire time. Like, we're going to play this one again. Everyone's like, thank you. That's what we expect. That's cool, though. I mean, that's really neat that they still get out there and play.
Yeah,
If it hadn't been for that experience, would that be the thing you saved?
probably
I was
not.
surprised by it. I was going to say, I take you for a big Foghat listener. I didn't know there were any big Foghat fans, but everyone likes that song, right?
Like I said, I didn't plan on going to see him. It's not like I like set out to go see Foghat. They just happened to be playing.
There were so many songs that were like, of course, this has been used in a lot of things, but it wasn't like specifically, I wasn't remembering one instance of it being used. So, like, that was one of those songs that I thought, Slow Ride gets used a bajillion times in different things, but it's not one that I have a specific memory of something. And I feel like that's one, though, that I've seen so many times, and sometimes it is cool. Like, it still doesn't, it hasn't become like a joke of itself, I feel like,
What it is in is Dazed and Confused.
Okay,
It's in Dazed and Confused. It's in
What part is
the part where they're after school and they're going out and they're all riding around town in their cars.
Oh, that's a really cool use of the song.
If you want to get an idea of what this year is like, that's this year. It's 1976. It's the summer of 1976.
In Dazed and
In
Confused?
Dazed and Confused. They're going.
We should have.
They're going from junior year to senior year in 1976.
I think I read that early on, and then I thought I should watch that, and I was like, nah, I got all these other movies to watch, and sort of forgot about it.
All the cars.
That's
and
really
the
cool.
movie or the music.
Yeah, the things they do when they're hanging out, like
Things they were talking about. It's cool. It's a really cool movie.
he buys beer by saying that he's 18, and I
Yep.
remember being a kid and being like, is the gas station guy just like fucking with him? It's 21.
In
Like,
Texas,
no,
I guess
okay.
it wasn't at the time, because that's when movie take place.
I wouldn't be for. I feel like we talked about that in 77 possibly, but go check the archives if you want.
Yeah.
I can't remember because we didn't save that fact.
No.
That's why. That's a good excuse for why we can't remember anything from last episodes if we're ever wrong about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, look, we're traveling in and out of time. Some things get saved, some don't. So, unless it was the Muppets, I'm not going to remember.
Yeah, and you're not going to remember everything but Foghat.
That's true. My favorite song is Slow Ride. There's like 20 songs left. Okay. I am ready to get back to normal life, I suppose. I need to do things, unfortunately, with my current day life. So we have to travel back forward in time to the current present day. We leave behind the portal of time. See, I'm really leaning into it now that I remembered we forgot about it.
We'll
And
make
we
sure
will jump
Timeless
back-
Tony's on his shit this time, too.
Yes. Timeless Toadie's real mad. We haven't mentioned him in a while. But as I think back at the year 19, this is a prime example of a year when I think back and I remember it. I'm going to keep thinking to myself, I know me and Margaret are thinking the same thing. We
Wish we were then.
then.
Nailed
It's
it.
getting worse.